Hi, everyone. Welcome to Gratitude Tuesday. My name's Raina, and I am a recovery coach here at Capital Recovery Center. Today, we're going to be talking about some self-care. So this article is Self-Care 101, brought to you by everydayhealth.com. It was written by Maura Lawler. So it starts out by talking about, let's clear up one common misconception from the get-go. Self-care is not synonymous with self-indulgence or being selfish. Self-care means taking care of yourself, that you can be healthy, you can be well, you can do your job, you can help and care for others, and you can do all the things you need to and want to accomplish in a day. If you think you've been hearing more about self-care now, you're right. One indicator, according to Google Trends, the number of searches for self-care has more than doubled since 2015. So that tells you something right there. Like, there's a great need for self-care in today's environment. So self-care is part of the answer to how we can all better cope with daily stressors, explains Kelsey Patel, a Los Angeles-based wellness expert and the author of the forthcoming book, Burning Bright, Rituals, Reiki, and Self-Care to Heal Burnout, Anxiety, and Stress. It's work stress. It's the stress of trying to keep up with the pace of daily life, which technology has hastened more than ever. Just think how many emails come flooding into your inbox each day. People are feeling lonelier and less able to unwind and slow down, which makes them feel more anxious and overwhelmed by even the simplest tasks. At Everyday Health, self-care is taking steps to tend your physical and emotional health needs to the best of your ability. Here we explore the trend where the definition of self-care comes from and what it can do for your long-term health. So I like that it starts out by talking about how there's a misconception that self-care can be something that's selfish or self-indulgence. Because I'm sure, a lot of us talk about, I'm going to go self-care and go get my nails done, get my hair done, get a massage, all these things that seem a little bit luxurious. But that's not necessarily, those things can very well be self-care. But in this case, we're talking about something on a greater scale, something that's going to help with your actual health, with your anxiety, with your stress, and just about taking care of yourself, especially being in recovery. A lot of us don't know how to take care of ourselves properly. We don't know how to deal with stress. We don't know how to balance work-life, activities. So those are all things that need to be addressed, and self-care is how we do that. Because I know, when I was in active addiction, my self-care was next to nothing. Not just the physical, but the emotional and the mental self-care that you need. So then being in recovery has taught me a lot about how to, balance life and how to take care of myself. Because without taking care of myself first, I'm no good to anybody else. And that's something that we talk about a lot in recovery. You have to make that a priority in order to be able to continue doing things in your life that you love and to help, other people around you. So, as we just talked about what this is, what is self-care and why is it critical for your well-being? So several organizations and researchers take a health-oriented approach when defining self-care. The World Health Organization defines self-care as the ability of individuals, families, and communities to promote health, prevent disease, maintain health, and to cope with illness and disability with or without the support of healthcare provider. According to this definition, self-care includes everything related to staying physically healthy, including hygiene, nutrition, and seeking medical care when needed. It's all the steps an individual can take to manage stressors in his or her life and take care of his or her own health and well-being. And like I just said, it's about taking care of yourself, not necessarily about indulging or, pampering yourself, but just about taking care of yourself in everyday life. So we're going to look at some common questions and answers concerning self-care. And the first one is, what are the benefits of practicing self-care? So for that, the self-care is anything you do to take care of yourself so you can stay physically, mentally, and emotionally well. Its benefits are better physical, mental, and emotional health and well-being. Research suggests self-care promotes positive health outcomes, such as fostering resilience, living longer, and becoming better equipped to manage stress. So there are so many benefits of self-care. And this one just gives you kind of like a broad answer to the question. It's just anything that benefits you physically, mentally, and emotionally. Anything that can help support those things. Because what we need to do is make sure that those three aspects of our life are in balance and that we are, fostering those well-beings, because we want to be able to be prepared to manage stressors when they come. And having that foundation of self-care can really help you in, managing anything that may come at you. So it says, can self-care help prevent disease or illness? While self-care can help you prevent future health problems, it alone is not a cure or treatment for disease or illness. For those living with chronic disease, such as heart disease or cancer, however, practicing self-care may help patients with managing symptoms, bolstering other aspects of health, and improving emotional well-being. And I can contest to this. So, I have an autoimmune disorder, and for me, being able to manage my stress also helps me manage my health. So when things get a little out of control, when I'm overwhelmed, if there's big stressors in my life, they can literally make me sick. So practicing self-care and being able to, manage the stress helps me physically as well as emotionally and mentally. So, a lot of us, when we get clean, we find out that, we have some health issues that are going on. And how, these practices can help, like it says, prevent future health problems. If you're someone that is at risk for heart disease or hypertension or these different things, self-care can go a long way in helping to prevent those things or helping to minimize symptoms of certain things. So the next one says, what are some examples of self-care? So some common examples of self-care include maintaining a regular sleeping routine, eating healthy, spending time in nature, doing a hobby you enjoy, and expressing gratitude. Self-care can look different for everyone, but to count as self-care, the behavior should promote health and happiness for you. So when you think about that, what might be self-care for me might not be self-care for you. So there are obviously some things that are self-care for all of us, right? Getting enough sleep, eating healthy, getting exercise. Those things are going to benefit all of us. But as far as other things to help with maybe like your mental self-care or your emotional self-care, they can look different to different people. So for me, one of the things that helps me, stay grounded and, helps me manage some symptoms of ADHD and some other things is I draw. So a lot of times if I'm, doing an online class or, if I'm having a rough time, can't get out of my head, putting that pencil to paper helps me focus. If I am doing something online with a class, it actually helps me to focus. It also helps me to kind of just, ground myself. Kind of focuses my thoughts. If they're racing, I can just pay attention to what's on the paper and kind of calm my mind. For others, that could be music. It could be meditation, yoga, any type of activity that you enjoy doing. So, those things can look very different for different people, but I think it's very important that you find something that does give you an outlet, that does help you stay grounded, aside from the things that we discussed, like the sleep and the exercise and all of that. It's really good to have some sort of a hobby or interest that you can use as an outlet for self-care. So next question is, how do I start a self-care routine? To get into a routine of regularly practicing self-care, experts recommend starting small rather than tackling the most challenging thing first. Choose one practice each week to weave into your daily routine. Note any positive changes and add in more practices when you feel ready. It's really important not to overwhelm yourself. try doing like the smaller things. Try changing your diet a little bit to include more fruit and vegetables and protein. Or, try turning your phone off or putting it on silent like an hour before you go to bed to help your mind just settle, to help you sleep better. We talk a lot about doing like a gratitude list at the end of the night or the beginning of the day to help kind of prepare your day for a more positive outlook or help you end the day on a more positive outlook. So, including one of these things into your routine can help you start to build a regular routine of self-care. So it goes on to say that some researchers have adopted a similarly clinical approach. A study published in JBI Library of Systematic Reviews defines self-care as the set of activities in which one engages throughout life on a daily basis, focusing on promoting health, preventing illness, and managing issues that come up. A study published in BMC Palliative Care took self-care to mean the self-initiated behavior that people choose to incorporate to promote good health and general well-being. The study authors added that it is about being healthy, but also about incorporating coping strategies to deal with work stressors. And that can be an important one. I used to have a job that was very high stress. It was a lot of responsibility. I was micromanaged a lot of the time, which made it even more difficult for me. And I didn't have good coping skills for that at the time. And unfortunately, I used alcohol to cope with, the stress of that job, which in turn just led me down, a path of that habit, which became worse and worse and worse. So it's very important when you're looking at different things for coping that you find things that are positive, especially being in recovery, so that, we want to prevent ourselves from going backwards. So it says in 2019, researchers published a self-care framework in the BMJ to specifically point out that in addition to self-care being the activities individuals do on their own to promote physical and emotional health, it also includes the ways that individuals interact with clinicians and healthcare systems to tend to physical and emotional health. That means self-care includes things like getting a vaccine, scheduling cancer screenings, or taking prescription medications on schedule. But healthcare providers and organizations play a role too in how well individuals engage in these self-care practices. In other words, there are a lot of people and factors that bear on any one individual's ability to engage in self-care. And that's true. We will run into hurdles. If your insurance doesn't cover a medication, you know what I mean? Then you're going to stress about money or how am I going to pay for this? It's important to advocate for yourself. It's important to look for alternatives. It's important to know when something isn't working for you. It's okay to, cancel a doctor to go to another one if that person isn't meeting your needs. And it's important to have someone in the healthcare system that you can trust, that you feel confident putting your health in their hands. That's very important. We talk about a lot in recovery about finding a mentor or a sponsor or someone that you can trust. And that needs to carry out into other aspects of your life as well to promote overall well-being. We need doctors that we can trust. We need educators we can trust, employers we can trust. All these different aspects, to help manage your life in a better way. And when something isn't working for you anymore, it's okay to move on. So it goes on to say, as self-care has become more mainstream, the definitions have started to become more applicable to the general public and tend to focus on turning into one's needs and meeting those needs. Self-care is anything that you do for yourself that feels nourishing. That can be something that's relaxing or calming, or it can be something that is intellectual or spiritual or physical or practical, or something you need to get done. Different things for different people. Like I said, you know what I mean? Even with the music, I mentioned how a lot of people use music to help, for self-care and to decompress. And, that type of music is going to be different for so many people. You only have one person that, might want something more classical, Mozart or, something along those lines. And then you have someone else who will blast heavy metal music, and that's how they relax. So it can just be such a variety of things. And if you're not sure what would work for you, try what other people are trying. Ask, I'm having a hard time. How do you kind of like get out of your head? What do you use? What outlets do you have? So, and try it. It might work for you, it might not, but eventually you're going to find something that does work for you. So the International Self-Care Foundation also includes health literacy as a pillar of self-care, meaning that any steps you take towards better understanding health information you need to make appropriate decisions about your health and well-being counts as self-care too. Being informed, being educated, not relying on a Facebook post to give you information about a health issue, seeking professional, information. And that can be doing some research. Try not to go overboard, but it can be doing some research. It can just be learning what is the best way to handle something. But educate yourself on these different things. Don't just take some post for, its word, or someone that as their word. Again, everybody is different. But when it comes to certain things, you want to make sure that you are getting the best information possible. So this is why everyday health self-care is all the steps you take to tend to your physical and emotional health in ways you are best able to do so. Men's Health and Self-Care takes a spotlight in Men's Health Awareness in June. Self-care requires checking in with yourself and asking yourself how you're doing and what your body's asking for. Some people use it to deal with difficult news, others just to maintain their happiness day to day. Self-care does not mean the same thing for everyone. That's what we've been saying. Different people will adopt different self-care practices, and even your own definition might change over time. What is self-care for one person will likely differ for someone else, and what's self-care for you one day might not feel like self-care another day. We outgrow things, right? We change, we grow. Our life situations change, our living situations, our employment situations. Everything is up for revision at some point, and it's about learning to adapt and finding new ways to take care of yourself according to what your situation is. You will have some things like those standard staples that we talked about: better sleep, eating better, exercise, that are going to help you through all of it. But what might be self-care in one situation might not apply to a different one. So it's important to know, as things change, as you grow, finding different or better ways to manage things. So engaging in self-care regularly could help you put your best foot forward. When we are regularly taking care of ourselves, we are better able to react to the things that go in our lives. It's something we do to maintain positive well-being. And that's what it is. It's about maintaining a positive well-being, because a lot of us have this negativity that has surrounded our lives for so long that now in recovery, we're learning how to find positive things to replace the negative. So if you were someone that ran to a drink to deal with a problem, or ran to a drug to deal with a problem like I did, you have to learn what you can use now to deal with a problem in a positive, healthy way. So it concludes by saying, when self-care is regularly practiced, the benefits are broad and have even been linked to positive health outcomes, such as reduced stress, improved immune system, increased productivity, and higher self-esteem. The benefits of self-care are endless. It's just about putting the work in. It's about practicing it. It's about finding a routine that works for you. So like I said, if something's not working, try something else. If you find something that works, go with it, run with it, make it part of your daily life, your weekly life, or wherever it may apply. But in some way, just make sure that you are taking care of yourself so that you can maintain recovery and you can grow in recovery and you can help others in recovery. That's one of the big things that, we preach being people in recovery. It's about helping the next person because someone helped us. But in order to do that, we have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves first. So thank you guys for joining me today. As always, please come in and see us. We can practice some of these self-care exercises with you, some gratitude exercises that we have. Just come in to talk, join our groups, whatever you need. We are here to help support your recovery in a healthy, positive way.